Thank you. Yeah, we're gonna start in a couple of minutes. So, how's the business? Doing good?
It's crazy right now, which is good.
Great,
I
great.
can't complain, but it's wild. How
Uh,
about you?
I'm good. Yeah, business is good. I had a couple buyers and I just sold the listings. So, yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. We we're in the middle of a few right now. But yeah, it's been crazy. I had noticed the binds, it picked up for a little bit and it's slowing down and picking back up. So
Okay,
we'll
so
see.
yeah, I have a buyer looking for a house around like 300.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Everything on fly. Everything
right.
1 2 days. It's
It's crazy. Even if that, like more like 2 hours.
yeah.
It's
Sometimes
wild.
date of the market is just 1 day. As
Yeah.
soon as they get my email and they call me and I want to visit that house. I say, okay, but it's on the contract.
Right.
So,
Right. Exactly. Or they're waiting like 6 days and then you have 12, offers
mhm.
and and they build up and everything.
Yeah, actually,
Cheaters.
okay.
We actually just moved into our new house. So
Uh,
if you see the mess behind us, it's still a work in progress.
nothing on my screen.
They're good. I tried to put it all on the floor so you couldn't see the mess.
Okay.
But
It,
yes.
it's kind of same here.
Right, right. Are you in the office or your house?
No, I'm in my house. I'm a corner of my house. It's like it's a condo. I'm living in a condo.
Okay.
So yeah, I have a corner to do my stuff here.
That's nice. That's really nice. I'm hiding in the basement from the kids.
Ah, okay.
It's cold down here. I have a blanket on. But
Okay.
yeah.
So let's start. If you don't mind, just introduce yourself. We're gonna go like we talked about what's important for buyers when you take them to a showing.
Right.
What?
So my name is Lauren
What?
Tinker,
Go
and
ahead.
I am an agent, a realtor at Weichert ABG with Haas. Thanks for having me. So I mean, there's a lot to go over when buying a house and looking at homes. And at first, obviously, that I know the last couple of weeks you all have discussed the loan process, the pre-qualification, and I know you and Cameron talked about the entire line of everything. Obviously, that's super important and the number one thing to do. After that, I think it's important to find the location of where you want to move. I know they always say location, location, location. So obviously the location can be whether it's with your closer to your family, or if you want to if you're not working out of your office or out of your home, what's the drive, the commute look like, the schools that your kids are attending. I mean, there's so many different factors of choosing the location. And then once you get to go ahead, sorry.
First thing is location. That
Right.
that's the
Right. Location, location, location. And if I start talking too fast, just let me know.
time. It's a casual talk.
Right, right. But yeah, so obviously location is super important, and like I said, the factors that go with it. Then you need to think of your needs for your house. Obviously, the number of bedrooms, the space, the bathrooms, what works for you and or your family. And once you go from there, and once single it down, then you can add on more information, as in, you know, with the factors of what you have and the locations you're looking at. Once you get into the house, it's a whole nother ball game, as you know.
Yeah, obviously.
Right. Would you agree? I mean, you would agree with that, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And I know you're a very experienced realtor. And I've had my license for a year and a half, but I've learned so much in this year and a half. It's definitely, there's every day something new.
Yeah, it's a like a root process. Looks like the same, but the exciting part is for every client, it's totally different. Even for every house, I like to go to the house and look at the houses. I learn something new. Oh,
Sorry, it slipped.
learn something new when I get to the house and look at around the house. It's that's the exciting part.
Right. Which is so exciting. But then with that, comes a lot of stuff you have to look into while you're there and looking at the house. You have to think about, is this house, are you willing to put money into it if needed? Is it move-in ready? Or is it something that you're going to have to put several repairs, whether it's in the interior or exterior, which is huge because some people are not willing to do that. And so it's very important to have a good real estate agent to point out things like the systems. How old are the systems? Are they working correctly? Do they match up with what the seller's disclosure is? So there's definitely a lot to check in once you get into the property.
So do you review the seller disclosure with your buyer when you get into the house?
Yes.
That's what I do. I usually study the seller disclosure before I go there.
A lot of times I do, just because of the inventory now. Like we were just speaking, how it goes so quick, properties do,
Yes.
that they need to be ready. If this is something they really want, they need to be ready. That's how our market is now. Obviously that, changes. But it is, I like to send them before just so they have an idea of what they're walking into.
Okay. So what are you expecting from your buyer to show them a house? What's your expectation as an agent?
As an agent, so what I'm expecting them to just understand what goes into the process and understand what they want and what they're willing to do for what they want, and then making sure that everything aligns with their expectations. So if they're expecting, all new systems, if they're not going to go, then it's not going to work, right? So, there's tons of expectations.
So
What about you?
Yes, yeah, the same thing. I usually ask questions, but my expectation is for them to be clear. If they like something about the house, to be clear, and they don't like
Right.
something, to be clear. Sometimes they like a misunderstanding about the house, then I can explain, and change their mind about the house in the
Right.
easier way. Sometimes they like something which is not good in
Exactly.
my,
Right.
Well,
and on tagging on to that, I have noticed, buyer remorse increasing so much with this inventory. People are jumping on it before they're really fully understanding and accepting the property. And so I think it's important to continue to discuss it before, during, and after, because right now you really only have 30 minutes, 45 minutes in the property, because with COVID, there's no overlapping appointments. So it's very important to continue to discuss all parts of it, because we said with it, the buyer remorse, I've seen that increase a lot recently.
Yeah, it's funny. Before that COVID, I set my things about like 15, 20. But right now, I take at least 30 minutes.
Right. Because you want them to get the full, experience of the house. That, I feel like that barely gives you enough time to even, check out the systems, check out the neighborhood, all the surroundings, the bedrooms, what actually works with them. I have clients too, to make sure their couches will fit perfectly so they can watch the TV in front of it without being on the side. That's actually a huge deal. It's stuff that you don't think of. It's kind of the small stuff, but it goes with your everyday life. Yeah.
Those small things, where should I put my TV? Or I have I don't know, I have a big pool table.
Right. Exactly. And outlets is another huge thing too, because I've seen properties and they're like, why is there only one outlet to a room? And so it's something that you need to make sure they are aware of, and communication is, you know, is high and important during the showing.
Yes, yes. So let's move forward. Assume that all the property, usually couple property, and your buyer pick one.
Right.
So what you gonna do next?
Well, I mean, so if we're talking in this kind of inventory that we are currently, you know, living in Louisville, I then would make sure, you know, we've already gone through the pre-qualification. I would then communicate again the whole process. Talk again about the closing costs, because that, you know, a lot of people forget about closing costs. I know you already talked about this, but you know, bring that back up. Remind them of all the fees that you will have before closing, including inspections, the appraisals that come in closings, but anything else, you know, that needs to be done. Also talk about the repair requests. You know, are they willing to buy the house if, you know, a huge things come up and that the seller's not willing to fix? I mean, there's so much communication that needs to happen at that time.
Okay, so that would be our next live about how to put off.
All right. Oh, that sounds fun.
Before that, I have another question. I forgot actually to ask this question. Are you encourage your clients to search by themselves through internet? You know, there are a lot of websites that they can find houses.
Right.
So what do you do with those?
My personal opinion, I'll just talk about Zillow. Well, especially with the sellers and buyers, you know, they say, well, Zillow tells me it's worth this much. Our Zillow says this and this. I personally do not agree with Zillow for many reasons. I don't think that they're accurate, and I like to remind my clients of that when looking at properties.
Great. Yes. Yeah. The same things that I do. I usually encourage them to go through, just find out the address based on location they
Yes. So if they are looking, and because a lot of times, you know, I will continue to send all the properties and continue to send properties. And then obviously if they're looking too, and so they send me properties, you know, and so the address and then we get all the information from there. If that answers your question. Sorry, you cut out a little bit. I apologize.
Yeah, that's what that I say them, that the information on those websites, they are not accurate.
Right.
But can be a starter for
Exactly. And that's why it's important that your real estate agent, once you do find a property that you want, you know, has all the tools to get the seller's disclosure, to have communication with the agent who's selling, and then do CMAs and other reports, you know, marketing and RP. I mean, there's several resources that a good real estate agent has to make sure that you make the right decision on pricing.
Yes, yeah, because sometimes people think they can go to internet and find the house. So why they need them?
Sorry, you cut out a second again.
Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the basement problems.
That's fine. Yeah, I said sometimes people think if they can go through internet find a house,
right,
they need an agent.
Right, and then they skip the whole agent part, which, in my opinion, I mean, I know real estate's changed a lot in recent days because you do have the internet, but there's so much legal that goes into buying a house, and doing it blindly is honestly, I personally would never do that, and I think that's why it's very, very important to have a good agent. There's a lot that goes into but purchasing a property, and it's for most people the biggest purchase you'll ever make. So you want to make sure it's done correctly and legally.
And that's stressful. That's what I'm
right.
saying to my clients. You're probably doing these things like 2-3 times in whole your life, but we are doing this at least 10 times a month.
Right. Exactly. Yes. 100%.
Yeah. Okay. Because I forgot. I want to ask some question. Let me see what was that question.
Sorry, I keep moving the phone at me, trying to make sure I get the best reception as possible.
Okay. Do you hear me again?
Yes.
Okay. So I don't know if it is right or not, but what I'm doing, when I take a buyer to a house, I usually point out all negative points that
Right.
are around the house, in the house.
Exactly.
And I usually tell them it is not that I don't want you to buy this house. That's because I have to be clear, honest with you to tell you exactly what's my opinion.
Right. Which
So,
is very important.
so you're doing the same things?
Oh yes, I think it's definitely. I mean, to have you are the pro, and to have that expert eye at
Yeah.
the property is very important for your buyers, and they'll appreciate that in the long run. And then that helps them up, like we were talking earlier, what to expect when purchasing the property. If I know there's also once inspections happen and there's stuff that's not visible to the eye. But I feel like the first look from the pro is the most important because you can get a lot from that. And that's, from anything from the systems to leaks that are prior leaks and just anything like the exterior, the maintenance, the inside. There's so much that a real estate agent has the eye for. And that's why we are the best.
Yes, yeah, we are. All right, Lauren. I don't want to keep you over 15 minutes. I think we had a great talk tonight, great
Yes.
conversation about the showing. For the last word, if you want to add something, go ahead for time.
I'm trying to think. I think we pretty much covered, the importance of it, and I hope someone has gotten, some good information from tonight's conversation. And like we said, buying a home is a huge, huge purchase and the biggest purchase of your life. So definitely don't take it lightly.
Okay, great. So if your client wants to visit you again, they can check it on my Instagram. I'm going to put it on YouTube and Facebook, and you can share it as well. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a great night.
Have a good
I'll
night.
see you tomorrow. All right.
Bye.
Bye.